Look at huh. Do you like the view like this?
Um, doesn't matter to me.
Okay, cool. That's fine. What's going on, man?
Not much. Um,
Word. Folks, as they slowly get into the channel, this is the We Trying channel, Nerdy by Nature. I was just say Nerdy by Nature production. We got an interesting topic here. We'll let people slowly get into the chat, but we are live after doing a couple of taped episodes for the past few Saturdays because life will always find a way. Um,
I,
Leeway,
I mean,
how was your Saturday?
we can talk about Gamescom. I mean, I don't want to crap all over it. I didn't think we could talk about Gamescom for an hour based on my lack of interest in it and based on the text you sent me, your lack of excitement behind it. It didn't
Oh,
seem like a topic that could fill an hour.
yeah, I agree with that. Were we? I mean, I guess that the perceived plan. We were going to talk about it because that's normally what we do.
I mean, we can talk about it as a filler until for like 5 minutes because it happened and there were some predictions. You were right that Hollow Knight's successor, Silk Song, did get an air date, um, or release date. They showed Metal Gear Solid, some Resident Evil Requiem stuff. I mean, they showed some things off, but I felt it was lackluster, and I didn't know
Yeah.
if that was if because I had other things going on and I didn't necessarily care about Gamescom so much, or if that was, or was it a letdown?
I don't know. I have definitely adjusted my expectations for what Gamescom can be. Um, I think even when we did our predictions episode or just talked about what it could be, I definitely said I was definitely higher on it than you, but am a I do have the realization that it is not Summer Games Fest and it is not Video Game Awards. Of the three big shows that Jeff Keighley does, this is probably I won't say the least well produced or anything, but the one that probably would not have the biggest trailers out of it. I feel like he
Hmm.
saves those more for Summer Games Fest and Video Game Awards. So I think I think what you're saying is completely valid. Um, and again, it's not like I hated anything. It's just kind of nothing was like, oh man, this was incredible. If I had gotten my Final Fantasy VII Part Three, that would have been something. But you, like you said, that was a pipe dream. But you can only wish, you can only hope.
I mean, I because I wasn't. I kind of want to say because I wasn't vested in it. I was just what would I was kind of saying what would make me be vested in this event that I wasn't particularly checking for. And I'm not knocking it. It just wasn't on my radar as far as like like a San Diego Comic Con or a New York Comic Con or even uh, like a D23. Like
Mm-hmm.
it didn't catch my attention. And maybe I'm not the target audience, or maybe and I'm wondering, am I aging out of gaming as a whole? Is that part of it? Because there are other priorities and gaming is becoming, and I said this, and we can talk more about it or move on. I said the canary in the coal mine was, and I want to get the exact text that I sent was the price raise from Sony for the PS5. And
Mm-hmm.
that to me was, if the PS5 is, and they said it was due to tariffs. We knew the price change was coming. Is this the beginning of the end of gaming being something for everyone? And this turned into a niche thing because when the PS6 comes out, is that something families are actually buying? That could be $800. if the
Yeah.
PS if the PS5 Pro is going to, what was it? What is the
What is
price
it?
of this place?
Everything went up $50, so I don't know what the base PS Pro is.
Hold on, did I send you the article?
Let's see. PS5 Pro. Looks like it's $6.99.
No, 750, 749. PS5 Pro. The updated recommended retail price for PS5 console in the US are as follows: a PS5 base is 549, PS5 Digital Edition is $500, PS5 Pro is 749.99. That's $750.
Oh, that's interesting. A lot of stores are doing their own version of a rebate then,
Yeah,
because
new
Walmart and
prices
Best Buy are
effective
doing it for $6.99. But okay, I got you.
effective starting on August the 21st. And now here's the thing: I'm quite sure that they're going to ease into this price, but what I'm saying is at 750 for a console right now for a
Hmm.
PS5 Pro, what is that six price going to be?
Yeah, I think 850 is certainly not out of the question. You asked the question of, is it a niche hobby or is it going to
It
become a niche
is
hobby? I
a,
think
a family of four or five. Are,
50-50.
are they going to buy? Are they going to buy a PS6?
They may not buy a PS6, but I think they can find games other places.
What I'm saying is, usually when a new console comes out, they drop the price of the previous console.
Hmm.
We have not seen that. We When the PS5 Pro came out, usually the PS5 would get a price drop, and that would juice numbers for that console, and that would be the alternative. So
Hmm.
now they're raising prices. So when the PS6 drops, are we going to see a rush of people buying a PS5? Because will we be out of the tariff war, this tariff price hike, tax hike, that then, because make no mistake, a tariff is a tax. It's just a different way of implementing it. So are you going to see people buying a PS5 because we're going to see these tariffs go away, or is this going to become a hobby that not every family is going to afford?
I think, yeah, I think there will be fewer people buying video game consoles. I do think the idea of gaming though will still be around because I think people will find other ways to game. I think more and more you're able to get so much out of your cell phone, which generally isn't going to be as powerful as the most powerful PC or most powerful console. So I think families, and this is me predicting, speculating even, I think there's a good chance that families could buy a basic style family PC console that are not console family PC that acts as a media center hub that maybe stores all your digital media and stuff, and you can play a few games on it. Because for I mean, what are some of the most popular games right now? Fortnite, which isn't graphic intensive,
Yep.
um, Roblox, not graphic intensive.
Minecraft.
E- yeah, Minecraft, not graphic intensive. Even World of Warcraft, which has lost players, it's still huge and not graphic intensive. So I think there will still be an audience to find those style games and be able to play that stuff. It'll just be, I can see what you're saying of it being a smaller market for getting the
Mhm.
best of the best for games.
Yeah, that's what I got out of Gamescom. There was a lot of stuff like the gameplay of Ghost of Yotei, seeing more of that. Um, the whole Onimush. I mean, there were a lot of trailers that I thought were, oh, that's interesting, but nothing was like, oh, I want to pay $80 for this.
Hmm.
There was nothing that just was like, oh, I have to have this, and
Hmm.
that's kind of why I was like, here's a topic we haven't broached in a while,
Yeah, this was
and
a
I
so. I mean, I'll let you lead this. I the first question I have, and I didn't ask you for like what made you think of this topic.
so I have been rewatching. We had a little lull at work, and I I started rewatching while I was doing other stuff, and in the background I would watch clips of like, oh, I forgot this show, and I would watch clips of like Breaking Bad, and I forgot that I'd forgotten how good Better Call Saul was, and I think I said a while back that Better Call Saul was a better show than Breaking Bad,
Hmm.
and I'd been watching Vince Gillian and everybody talk about how when Better Call Saul ended, how the differences they would do with Breaking Bad now that they have done Better Call Saul. And I thought about like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Peacemaker just dropped this week. We've got Alien Earth is in its third episode. Twisted Metal is out. Um, Netflix the trailer for Stranger Things season 5 just dropped, and it just got me thinking. What are some of the shows that kind of paved the way to get us to this age of television, where television has bigger people are more excited about TV shows at times than movies,
Sure.
and TV shows are driving the conversation. I did a My wife and I just finished watching The Hunting Wives, which I thought was an interesting concept of a show.
Hmm.
It's not a great show. It's an interesting show. It's it's according to one of my coworkers, it's trash TV, but it's an interesting television show. But
Sometimes you
it
want trash TV.
it's one of those things where how did we get to a point where all of these different genre TV shows are possible? And I said, well, what are the five shows that kind of paved the way for that, or and not just paved the way for television, but also changed the world in a sense, or affected the world and had a real world effect. So there are certain shows that are undeniably game changing. Star Trek is one of them. The Simpsons. Um, I would say The Sopranos, The Wire. These are shows that are lost. I don't know if you picked any of these, but these are shows that are undeniably we could point to an inflection point in in American society and around the world that were like that's a show that captivated people. MASH, The Cosby Show, Seinfeld. These are shows. But what are some of the lesser known shows that had a mark, but you don't recognize the indelible mark that they had on society as a whole and on television as a whole? And so the first one that I'll go with is I'll kick us off was House of Cards. A lot of people don't recognize House of Cards really was the the beginning of the streaming wars. Netflix paid spent about $100 million for the first two seasons of House of Cards. They were in a bidding war with HBO. A lot of people don't realize that. If Netflix had not purchased the rights for House of Cards, HBO was going to air House of Cards.
Hmm.
So that lets you know the quality and the prestige that House of Cards was. It was not Netflix's first original content show. When they pivoted from DVD sales or DVD rentals to streaming and content. And a lot of people forget in that early 2010s, Netflix was primarily a DVD rental company where you could check out DVDs. You had different plans. I think I had the time had a 3 movie Netflix plan. Like I had whatever the most you could get, 3 or 5, I forget what it was, because I was watching movies left and right. And they had a streaming deal with other content providers like Stars. They had a dirt cheap deal with Stars to the point where the deal that they struck with content to be the exclusive streaming house for some of these, no one cared about streaming. And that when they renegotiated, they actually had Stars when they renegotiated had like a 30 and 90-day window before things were streamed. A lot of people forget that The Walking Dead was originally streamed, was the exclusive home to Netflix. House of Cards was the show that premiered after Lilyhammer in 2013 and changed the game. It was one of 4 shows of original content that Netflix purchased: Lilyhammer, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and the 4th season of Arrested Development. That show changed everything for Netflix and for streaming television because it put Netflix in a position where people had to take them seriously as a content provider. They weren't just a hub of content, they were providing original content that you could only get from them. And it also helped that it was good,
Yes.
but it also showed you, and there's a couple other shows that I'll mention about this idea, but movie stars doing television, where you had The Wire, Sopranos, a lot of those shows were not movie stars. Kevin Spacey was a big deal. Um, if you go back and look at some of these television shows that had movie stars in them, you kind of took notice. And it also launched stars. Kate Mara, uh, it launched her career as a journalist when she was, if you go back and look at Corey Stoll as one of the senators, the guy who plays Doug, I can't remember what his name is right now, but you remember him from your show, Jack Ryan. Um, you look at all the different people who were on that show, and some of the people you recognize, some of them you don't. But that show put Netflix on the map as far as original content, and
Yeah,
it also started a conversation about how does Hollywood actually view Congress and how political dramas are made, and it also put an eye on because again, Kevin Spacey is essentially playing Lindsey Graham,
hmm
and it shined a light on South Carolina. Um, we were noticed after this show. Um, we
because
saw the
even if you don't think Kevin Spacey is playing a version of Lindsey Graham, which I think it's undeniable. But even if you don't,
yeah,
you can't deny the fact that the senator was he from Gaffney?
so he was from South Carolina. He's from Gaffney. You're correct.
Yeah, Gaffney. Because I mean, that was he was because I even think he went to the Citadel. I mean,
Yep.
whether or not she you can,
Remember, he had that relationship with one of his classmates
yeah,
from the Citadel.
yeah.
That was very
So,
controversial.
but yeah, but I say all that to say like it was deeply tied into South Carolina. So even if you
Yeah.
don't want to connect to Lindsey Graham, it was still South Carolina
It,
ties.
and the real world implications of the relationship that those characters had with Russia.
Hmm
Um, the 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 way that show operated caused a lot of people to be more involved and more aware of how politics, because there were a lot of people on Capitol Hill saying that's not how politics works. And then a lot of people are like, yeah, that is kind of how politics works. The lobbying, the different underhanded deals. There there was it caused a lot of conversation around how politics works. And that is due to Netflix. And if you remember, House of Cards then led to you seeing other shows because it's copycat. What came after House of Cards? Scandal. And you saw the explosion of Shonda Rhimes. Um, I think that show was amazing. It probably should have ended earlier, but I think that is one of the shows when you look at the rise of streaming services. Um, Kim from Chicago says any resemblance between characters and real life people are merely coincidental, and my lawyer said so. Yep, I'm quite sure that they lawyered up. Um, but I think that show is consequential to the birth of streaming services making their own content and Netflix being a player in this circle and putting other people on notice that if you're going to get in this space, you're going to have to spend money.
So just to be clear, Scandal came before House of Cards.
It did. I thought
Yes.
Scandal came on in
Yeah.
2012, but then you're
House of
right
Cards is
because
2013.
2013. You're right.
Yes.
It was
But
bought
I
in
do agree
2010.
with you.
Yeah,
there was a bunch of copycats
yeah,
of political
you're right.
thrillers.
Because
I
I
will agree
was
with that.
I was thinking because 2010 was it was announced that they purchased the show and they got it and they didn't get it on TV. Lilyhammer came out in 2011. You're right. I was wrong about that.
You said, Kay, a schedule would be nice. I mean, Kay, you know us. We try to be live when we can. We get up when we can. A schedule would be nice. One of these days, when we hit the big leagues, we'll have a schedule.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, hey to the chatters are coming in. I'm seeing what this is. Herbert's in here, Ken's in here, Kay.
So that was
Uh,
that that was that was kind of my thinking behind this conversation. Like, what are the shows? And I think Herbert said Babylon 5.
mhm.
Um, Babylon 5 is another interesting one because that's the show that um, came out. Michael Straczynski was going to sue Gene Roddenberry's people for making Deep Space Nine because they feel like they stole the idea from them to make Deep Space Nine. Um, but yeah, what are the shows, the lesser known shows that galvanized a public and may not have been like the biggest, like MASH was one of the biggest um, television shows, like when it aired in that final season, Dallas, these shows we know paved the way for a lot of television and were juggernauts. But what are the shows that changed how we view television? Um, so what did you pick? What was
All
one
right.
one?
So let me give some background. When you gave me the assignment, the way I interpreted it was I tried to find shows that I thought, because at the beginning that you kind of said people slept on, and I don't know if
Yeah.
people slept on the shows that I'm going to pick, but
Mhm.
the way I determined my list was these were shows kind of like in the copycat vein of, oh, once this show came out, maybe five or
Yeah.
6 years later, every other show was kind of like
Yeah.
this, or there's
Mhm.
something like that. That's in my mind.
Yeah.
That's what I hit. So
Yeah.
these aren't in any
That works
particular
too.
order. Okay, yeah, these aren't in any particular order. I don't even know that I do. I personally like all these shows.
Really? So you
No,
picked
I
shows that you
don't.
didn't like?
Yeah, and not even shows that I hate so much as shows that I don't necessarily watch, but I
Okay.
recognize what they did. For example, the first one I'll go with is Real World.
Whoa. That's
Um,
yeah.
like I don't really care one way or another about Real World. My sister was into it, who was 7 years older than me, and she
I was
she
into it.
loved it. Yeah,
That first season.
that's interesting. So I mean, when
Me
it
and your
came out, I
sister the
probably
same
wasn't
age.
young enough. What is she? She is 40. I'm
I'll be
41.
48 this year.
Yeah, she just turned 48.
Yeah. So
So
so so you, we're
so
we're the
yeah,
same age. So you,
yeah. For me, it's like I don't really get it because when I first saw it, I didn't understand the concept, and I don't know if you did. I didn't really understand the concept of what reality TV was. I still thought in my mind it was a scripted thing, like, oh, these people are pretending to be whatever. And the
Mhm.
thing that caught me, I don't remember what season it was, and I don't remember the characters, but I think the guy's name might have been David. And this
Yep.
girl was walking around in the house, and I think his name was David. He took her towel off and essentially exposed her to be naked. And they blurted out, of course. But then I was like, oh, this is interesting because she is very pissed about this. This doesn't seem like anything. And there were like people, like the behind the scenes people you would normally see. They were kind of like, yo, you got to get out there. You got to get out the house. We got to move David. You guys can't be in the same thing. And I don't even
Hmm.
remember. I don't remember what how that resolved. I don't know. Was he kicked out of the house? Do you know?
I'm looking it up right now. David pulls
Chad,
the
if you were
towel.
watching, let me know. But I remember. I feel like yeah, her towel was taken off. I was like, oh, this is real stuff. Um, and Real World is still
Yep.
is the Real World
They
still
don't.
on?
So here's the thing.
Yeah,
Dave was kicked out of the house after pulling a towel from Tammy. Now,
Tammy.
Tammy
Okay.
Roman. Now, here's the funny thing. You talk about David pulling the towel. Do you know where Tammy came? How Tammy became famous again?
No.
Basketball Wives.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Good for
So
her.
you talk about that. The real world, they still do the real world road rules challenge.
Yeah, I
And
see
I
that
used to watch that
commercials every once in a while.
because I didn't watch road rules as much, but I used to watch the challenge. When I tell you the challenge used to be, because I love the idea of these challenges. Like I really wish there was an obstacle course that I could go to and do those things. It's part of the reason why I love the Spartans, the Tough Mudder, is because they're those things that
Yeah,
I love to do. They still do those. Like I still like. I remember CT. I remember Coral. I don't fight. I beat bitches' asses. Like
Coral was the season with Mike, who is now the Miz, right?
yeah,
Because at
light
first
skin.
they didn't like each other, but now they're
Yeah,
like they became
they're
buddies
they're
towards
best.
the end.
They're,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They're. I don't know if they're still good friends, but I mean they were like this for a while.
yeah,
Yeah, you real world. Yeah, change the world.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, reality TV is here to stay. It is never going anywhere. And I
yeah,
with all the shows that I picked, I didn't do a necessarily the background. Like I don't know if Real World was the first reality TV show. I just know it was the one that caught on the biggest.
it was the one that caught on with a generation because the first one, if you think about it, The first reality TV shows are game shows. And then out of that, after the first writer's strike, one of the biggest reality TV shows was Cops. After the writer's strike, Cops was one of the shows that they were able to make. And so Cops is one of the longest running reality TV shows. Um,
What's the new version of Cops now that Curtis
it's
is
still
on?
Cops. Oh, you
I don't
mean
think
live
Cops is
PD?
still. Yeah, I don't think
Cops is
is
still a
Cops
thing.
still a thing. Is it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's on
I
Fox
just thought.
Nation.
Oh, okay.
It's on,
Well,
so
okay.
Cops, hold on, let me make sure.
Wait, with
Because
new episodes, it
Fox,
came back. Yes,
yeah.
that sounds
So I
familiar.
don't know if you remember, Cops went away because it was, if you've seen it, you know exactly what happened. The controversy that happened, some of the scandals, it went away for a while, and then they brought it back. Now I don't know if it's still on, but I thought it was on Fox Nation. But yeah,
Okay.
you're right. David was kicked off because he pulled the towel off of Tammy, and then they had to get him out of the house. And David did a lot of shit. David was, um, David was trash,
Yeah.
and they always had a villain. And this is the funniest thing about the real world. Remember when Dave Chappelle parodied the real world?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And Charlie Murphy was the crazy dude.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he was like, "We
Um.
trying to be all diplomatic about this shit, but we still reserve the right to kick your ass."
Yeah. Yeah. So my person was a real world. I mean, the tendrils extend deep and wide. It's still being felt to
Yeah,
this day.
but you understood the assignment because that's exactly, this is kind of what I was talking about, like genre television. Because if you think about the effects that Real World had, it put people on TV that you normally wouldn't see on TV, and some of those people, like you said, the Miz, Tammy Roman. Tammy Roman was on Basketball Wives, which was created by Shaq's wife, Shawnee. And if you remember, well, I don't know if you check for sports like this. So you know who Matt Barnes is, right?
I know the name.
Matt Barnes was married to one of the women from Basketball Wives, one of the
Okay.
Govan sisters. And so it's and that's kind of how Matt Barnes also, because he was a good player. He wasn't a great player, but he was a good player, and he came out he was playing during the Kobe era, and he was kind of became, everybody knew he was because he was on Basketball Wives, and one of his wife was on that show. Um, Also, his wife, supposedly Derek Fisher, also slept with his wife, so that's and he threatened to kill Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher, the flopper,
Derek Fisher, the LA Laker coach, used
also
to.
known as the flopper,
I'm not gonna say that about that man. I will say that that man has been
and somebody
accused
who
of.
doesn't watch video of who doesn't watch a lot of sports. I know Derek Fisher's a flopper. I've seen the
Yeah,
videos.
Derek Fisher is known as the man who would smash your wife if you turn. Yeah, he Derek Fisher's the basketball. Don't leave your girl around me.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's a deep cut. Um. Hell. Uh. I kind of miss the real world.
I mean, you can still
I
watch it.
No. Let me just sit here back. I miss watching. I miss the time in my life when I used to watch the real world because I didn't have any responsibilities and it
It
was
was a
escape.
simpler time.
Yeah, it was a simple time.
Yes.
Um, Ken is right. David and I don't know if David, if Puck was before David or after David.
Hmm.
Somebody looked it up, but he's right. There were these characters that they would bring in who were the controversial, you know, rabble rousers, start shit kind of characters. David was one of them.
Yeah.
So my other show, and I want to get my text message to make sure. Um, so I said House of Cards. My other show was 24.
When you
Uh,
sent me this, also, did you send that after I told you not to send me what you were going to send me,
I
or
thought
did
you
or did
said
or
to
did you just
send it.
happen to send?
You said I kind of want to share, but we can wait, so I'll be surprised.
And then you sent me the three shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was hoping you were gonna. I wanted to be surprised here, but it doesn't
Oh,
matter. Whatever.
but Well,
Because
I
when you
also
said
said
24, I was like, oh, 24, interesting.
well, so 24. If you look at the ratings, it averaged about 10 million viewers a night. It lasted for 8 seasons. It spanned. It literally came out. It was supposed to come out before the September 11th attacks in 2001. Um, but there, so for those people who don't know, if you're watching this for the first time, 24 starred Keith Sutherland as a CTU agent, um, who this is a day in his life, and he's married. He has a daughter, and there is a plot against a black senator who has the potential to be the first black American president. And there are factions within the government who may have plotted to kill him. Um, 24 had a scene in it that a plane was attacked, or um, okay, put a pin in that one. Uh, so
Shield
Kiefer
ain't never
Sutherland,
overlooked on this show.
huh?
I said
Oh
the
yeah,
shield is never overlooked on this program. Leroy talks about it all the time. Leroy talks about the shield and belly. If he'll talk about nothing else, it's the shield and belly.
and Bad Boys.
I almost feel like you talk about belly more than bad boys.
Let me rectify that then.
Okay, Corey, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
But no, so 24, 8 seasons, uh, was genre defining for the fact of every episode was an hour within the 24-hour time frame. Keith Sutherland, who was normally again a movie star, and if you don't know who Keith Sutherland's credentials are, Flatliners, Young Guns, and goddamn Lost Boys. So, oh no, Ken from Chicago. Vic Mackey was evil. Vic Mackey is evil personified. Make no
Sir, this
mistake.
if this show was on your list, get to that later. Talk about what you're
So,
talking about now. Stay
so
focused.
yeah. So the reason why I put 24 on the list is because 24 spanned not just television. It the highest it was like one of the top 20 watch shows. Like I said, it averaged around 10 million. It dipped to 6. It went as high as 13 million. But the ideas and the themes that were expressed on 24 reached beyond the show. 24 um 24 highly highly endorsed torture on the
Oh
show
yes,
to the point
some
to
people
the
might say glamorized it.
I, that's a very good word, to the point where Antonin Scalia, a Supreme Court justice, endorsed the show. That's when you think about television, when you think about some of the themes that it had. 24. So a lot of people don't realize that the show 24 was originally created by was originally created by I want to say Joel Surnow. I think that's his name. I just had this pulled up, but basically one of the guys who created La Femme Nikita. So um,
Man, that was a good show.
yeah. Um, so if you remember La Femme Nikita, the original television show, um, it was a Canadian show. When that show was over, uh, they decided to get together and make the show. Fox picked it up. Fox originally greenlit 13 episodes, and then the show was a hit. Um, came, okay, I remember that episode of Jack Bauer kicking Terrence in the nuts. Um, that show came out. Dennis Haysbert plays David Palmer, who then becomes president. Jack Bauer is like one of his best friends, whatever. But if you think about like the show itself, it put remember is it Elizabeth Cuthbert?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
my
she
favorite
was
character from. happy endings
Yeah, she was a household name. She was the girl next door. Remember,
in
she
that movie. Yeah.
she was catapulted to a movie star because of that.
Hmm.
You look at some of the people guest stars: Rami Malek, Katie Sackhoff. You got to see a lot of the people from La Femme Nikita come onto the show, but the themes that were expressed on that show, you see today. You talk about torture. You talk about I think his name is John Lee, one of the lawyers for George Bush during the War on Terror, who talked about waterboarding and some of the things that they used to do. The show pulled from that, and some would say vice versa. Um, the Islamophobia that the show seemed to endorse on this, to the point where Jack Bauer had to do a PSA during one of the seasons. That show,
Hey, we're
the
having fun here on the TV show, but don't do this in real life.
but the thing is, that show was consequential for that, to the
Yeah.
point where you saw people who were like, "Hey, this is just a TV show," but there were real world implications. Um, I would also point out, and this is not something that I've said, if you go and trace, there are articles from CBS, NPR that wonder and hypothesize, did 24 and the fact that there was a black president on television pave the way for Barack Obama? Dennis Haysbert, who plays David Palmer, believes that's the case. He believes that his portrayal as David Palmer paved the way and made America more comfortable with a non white president. Like, you talk about real world implications. This is something, now we had seen a black president before in Head of State with Chris Rock. We'd seen a black president with Morgan Freeman and Deep Impact, to the point where Dave Chappelle parried him when he was like, Mars, bitches, red rocks.
Hmm.
He was like, I got these space bitches. You like, he parried black president because he made fun of Bush. Like, you got to see these things. And so I would say, for me, 24 is one of those shows that makes you think. He did have a huge Democratic speech in 2004, but we cannot discredit the fact of television showing us a not just a black president handling complicated issues, complicated situations, and being effective,
Hmm.
to the point where when Barack Obama was elected, we questioned, should he do the walk down Pennsylvania Ave because someone would take a shot at him. That's exactly what happened to 24. So these are, I would say, it put Keith Sutherland back on the map. And not just Keith Sutherland back on the map. Keith Sutherland went on to do other shows on Fox. Keith Sutherland is now the voice of Solid Snake.
To the chagrin of some, yes, yes, he is.
So when you look at the tentacles and the tendrils that 24 has, it is amazing that a show that never averaged more than 10 million viewers um, has these implications. And of all the networks that aired it, Fox. Because I'm telling you right now, whether it didn't matter your political beliefs, whether you agreed with the show, your best friend JR loved 24. And so did I. Like,
Sure.
two people on opposite sides of the political spectrum loved the show. And I don't know if you remember, if you watched it, 24 dealt with the deep state, which is something you saw a lot of people on the right condemn and buy into, which was glamorized by 24. And who else was on the show who was in part of the deep state? John Voight. So yeah, this show had a lot a lot of influence on American society and culture.
I'd agree with everything you said. Yeah, and it's a shame that 24 Legacy could not follow up.
Old boy from Straight Outta Compton, right? Corey,
Yeah,
what's his name? Uh,
I don't
don't
know
give
that
me.
anybody really watched it, but a lot of people don't necessarily watch
Whoa,
follow
whoa,
reboot
whoa! A lot of
shows.
people did watch it. The first episode, because remember, it premiered after the Super Bowl with the
Yeah, that
Falcons.
that
And
that don't count.
but hold on, that first episode, a lot of people did watch that.
Yeah, I'm talking about the show. The show overall.
Oh, overall, I'd
Yeah,
say
we got it was a one and done season.
yeah, it was, but there was a lot of hype for that show.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, my
I would
second
also like to see
show.
24 come back.
They tried.
I would that they did. I would like to see 24 come back, and I would
Okay,
like to see 24 come back on a streaming service, and you drop an episode a day.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, my
go ahead.
second show I'm gonna pick. Let's see, we did that. Okay, they're not in order. Let's go. Let's go.
Keandre says
Cartoons.
24 was a show my family watched together. I'm gonna tell you right now, if your family watched 24 together, I have some questions about your family because that's a show me and my dad would watch, but not me and my mom.
Let's go. Dragon Ball Z.
Explain.
So the way I look at it, this isn't a question of what's the best anime or whatever. To
No, because it's not.
me,
It's a terrible anime.
I mean that's debatable. Uh,
Pokemon is better. Is better.
okay, um, but Dragon Ball Z made it cool and popular for anime to be watched by the masses because people
Interesting.
were watching anime before. People were watching Evangelion. People were watching stuff like that. A lot of the Super Sentai shows, the robot shows like that. You
So,
are somebody like that, yeah.
so why did you pick Dragon Ball Z over something like Gundam
Because I think
Or
Dragon
Sailor?
Ball Z. I think Dragon Ball Z when it aired on Cartoon Network's Toonami block. I
Mhm.
think it aired in the perfect time for kids of my age when I watched it at when I watched it probably what elementary to middle school. Um,
Okay, I'm pinning that comment.
yeah, I mean that's fine. Again, this isn't about it being the best. I'm just talking about
How,
it being influential
how do we
and
upvote that comment?
making it mainstream.
Go ahead.
Uh, Dragon Ball Z was watched everywhere by so many people. Again, you didn't have to like it, but people know what Dragon Ball Z is. Uh, you could find older people who know what Dragon Ball Z is. There are so many memes about how filler episodes. People didn't understand what filler episodes are. Oh, filler episodes of taking 30 episodes to power up before you fight somebody. That kind of not saying it's originated with Dragon Ball Z, but it popularized it with Dragon Ball Z. And now people talk about filler episodes all the time, whether it's in Naruto, whether it's in One Piece, whether it's in especially One Piece with filler episodes. But yeah, I mean, I
There's a
think
thousand of them. They can't
people
all be
were
great.
yeah, I think people were buying Dragon Ball Z tapes from FYE and Suncoast and stuff like that. A lot of those places that don't exist anymore, they were big for importing anime. A lot of that
Rest in
anime was
peace.
Dragon Ball. So that's the reason why I picked Dragon Ball. Again, not for it being good or bad, which it's not my favorite anime, but I think which is influential in terms of making mainstream anime more accessible. The same way that Final Fantasy VII made JRPGs more popular to the American audience, like when it first debuted on the PlayStation and had the commercials and everything.
Ooh,
I think Dragon Ball Z is similar to that.
that's a very good question. Ken from Chicago has. So here's the thing.
I think it's One Piece. Like it's not even close. I think One Piece is technically still going, where Dragon Ball Z is over. You just have new, like Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Kai and stuff. But Dragon
But
Ball Z is over.
does so I guess I'm asking the same question that Ken is asking. Even with all the episodes that Dragon Ball has, does it still not compete with the all total overall episodes of One Piece?
So okay, So to get nerdy, are we saying just Dragon Ball, anything that has Dragon Ball the name on it?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what
that's a question I don't know, because when he said
that
DBZ, that just means Dragon Ball
see
Z to
that's
me
what
or
I'm
whatever
asking.
it was.
Like One Piece has the most episodes continuously, but does Dragon Ball Z over the entire span of its creation have more? That's a question don't have the answer to. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I don't know. And it's case talking about all these things, which a lot of precursors for all the Dragon Ball stuff that's been out forever. But I
Yeah,
feel like Dragon Ball hit in the right spot to be on Cartoon Network where people would just watch it,
yeah.
like Saturday
I,
morning cartoons or your weekday
I would
cartoons.
I would say I would agree with that. I would say the three shows, anime shows that made anime mainstream acceptable for the American audience was, and I'm talking series, was Gundam, Sailor Moon, and Dragon Ball Z, with Dragon Ball Z being the number one. I would say those three shows were the way where, like, when they talk about the British invasion of music from the Beatles, the Stones, those were the three shows from of anime that came over that made anime accessible. Um, to answer somebody, Geeky on Ken Frachaco, yeah, Jack got captured a lot, tortured a lot, captured a lot. He didn't just do the torturing and kicking people in the nuts. You're right, he did get captured by the Russians. Uh, Matter of fact, one of the seasons he was started off with him captured by the was it the Mexican cartel? It's been a while, but yes, and yes, I would like to see Keith Sutherland reprise his role as Jack Bauer, and I would like to see that show come back. But yes, uh, that's a good one. I would have never thought about I'm like I think about Dragon Ball Z, but I would have never in the concept of Dragon Ball made anime more acceptable to the masses. I do like that.
Because when you think about rappers, the anime they're probably mostly rapping about is Dragon Ball.
Yep, Goku, Super
Um,
Saiyan.
Now, I mean, now you got some people who are really otakus and they're really into anime, like Megan Thee Stallion is rapping about everything.
Oh,
But
Megan Thee Stallion is. I would say I really wish we had money to actually dissect the intersection of Megan Thee Stallion, black girls, anime, and then Megan Thee Stallion's music,
mhm,
and how that is tracking with other cultures who are then coming into anime through Megan Thee Stallion.
sure, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Uh, so Kay already brought it up. Um, the Shield. I would say The Shield is one of those shows that um, it is when you think about what The Shield is and
Hmm.
how it came about. I fundamental and Ken from Chicago may be joking about misunderstood. I love The Shield, but I also understand The Shield is a great show, but Vic Mackey is might be the personification of evil. In as far as evil, as far as human evil, and I'm not talking like Beelzebub and Satan and that kind of. I'm talking psychopathic. What a human being would do to another human being to get what he wants, and justifies it. Vic Mackey is that thing. Vic Mackey is the cop that we march against. Vic Mackey is the type of person who would put a knee on someone's neck and then be mad at you for filming it. Vic Mackey believes he is right, and
He is definitely an ends justifies the means type of person.
I loved every minute of watching that show. But I could recognize how devastating Vic Mackey was. And Kay is right. This was after he did the commission. Another now, it's funny that Geeky Younger talks about 24. and it was a family show for him. Me and my mother used to watch The Commish. I love that show. And then I saw Vic Mackey as I saw Michael Chiklis as Vic Mackey, and I was like, "This is acting." I have never seen a per. I would put Michael Chiklis doing The Commish and Vic Mackey as two polar opposites, and that is amazing acting.
Hmm.
Um, the show premiered in 2002. It ran to 2008. It had, was it 7 seasons? 7 seasons. Um, it was amazing. It's some of the best television we have ever seen. If you haven't seen it, Kay talks about, I will highlight this comment. Ken is right. Vic Mackey is charming enough to get away with more evil than most would get away with. He is definitely right. Um, Kay talks about Vic Mackey killed a cop in episode one. He did a lot of good intentions, but he didn't care how he did it, and that is so true. The first episode, Vic Mackey and his strike force kills a cop who they realize was investigating them, and that action from the very first episode is what haunts them to the very last episode. Um, Vic, Shane, Lim, and I'm trying to remember the other dude's name. Um, basically, begged, borrowed, steal, assaulted, threatened sexual assault to solve crimes, to what they perceive to dish out justice, and they did it with impunity. They got away with it. People celebrated them, and throughout the show, you got to see people then turn on them. We got to see Glenn Close. We got to see Forrest Whitaker. The gentleman who played David Aceveda. All of them tried to stop this man, and none of them did it. None of them were able to stop him. Um, the Shield was one of the shows that FX premiered, and I think if you look at FX now with the shows with Fargo, um, I'm trying to think, Dave, your show. When you think of The Bear, when you think of Feud from um, Ryan Murphy, when you
Hmm.
think of what's the horror show that they did that Ryan
American
Murphy
Horror
did?
Story.
American Horror Story. When you look at the house that FX built, it's built on the back of the Shield. When you look at FX as a television network or as a television, FX is built on the back of Michael Chiklis and the Shield. Um, the season I Glenn Close then went on to do Damages on FX. When you look at Forrest Whitaker, and you look at the moment here, Gina Torres was on the show as Forrest Whitaker's ex-wife. I can't remember exactly. Go back and look at that episode when they're watching the two of them in the box, Forrest Whitaker and Gina Torres, and Forrest Whitaker realizes the camera's on as he is talking about um, arresting his wife, and she's going to be arrested. Forrest Whitaker realizes that Mackey is watching that camera, him and Lim, and they run out of the room. And Forrest Whitaker loses it and arrests Lim, and that is the spiral that starts when the strike force basically turns on itself. The show, not to give it away, Vic Mackey gets away with all of it, but everyone around him takes a hit. Everyone around him takes a hit. Some do not make it out alive. Some do not make it. Some lose their freedom. Some lose their jobs. But Vic Mackey is a, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not a wraith. but he is an entity that causes destruction everywhere he goes. Whether it's his wife, whether it's his friends, he is he is violence personified, and it was amazing trip to watch every week. Um, I still have the theme song in my head. Kim Chicago says Vic Mackey is a survivor. He is. The confession, when he actually confesses to his crimes, was shocking. When you think about everything this man did and the things that they did, also shout out to the Shield for giving us Walton Goggins as Shay. If you would love Walton Goggins on Fallout, Justified, um, what's the show on HBO? The hotel show.
Which one?
The hotel show where every season
He's
the White Lotus,
a bunch of shows on
the
HBO.
White no, I'm saying the White Lotus.
Okay.
If you love him as Baby Billy, Vice Principals, the Shield is where he shines. The Shield is that show where people first were like, "Who's Walton Goggins?" Oh, that's that dude. I apologize. I was not familiar with your work. Also, um, old girl from our job used to do the six for at News 19. That is her cousin,
Who's her cousin?
Laura
No, no, no. I know who that is. Who's her cousin?
Walton Goggins.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah. So the also, um, when you talk about real world implications, the black guy that I'm trying to remember what his name is, um, the cop who's a street cop who became a detective, Michael Jace. Look him up. Not gonna say what he did. Look him up.
Kay already did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh, but yeah. Also, CCH Pounder as Claudette. Wow. Yeah, it's she was amazing. Um, when you think of the Shield and like I said, FX is the House of FX is built on the Shield, and it is that show. So you're next. It's
Let's see. That we did that. We'll come back around. Let's do this next one. I had a few ideas for where I wanted to go,
okay.
and I didn't pick one show because I didn't want to have to dealing with the argument of appreciate the art, not the artist.
Uh oh.
So I was like, 'cause that's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't even want to have
Oh
that
shit.
conversation right now. So I dropped that show, but I found something I like even better that I think can
What
represent
what was the show you were gonna pick?
Cosby Show.
I just so that was on my original list.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I don't even want to have the conversation about whether or not,
That
like,
was
I
on
don't
my
have time
list.
for that.
That
So I
was on my
skipped over
list.
that. Yeah, that was on my list. I skipped over that, and what I did was I went with I Love Lucy. Um, I Love Lucy.
Interesting you picked that. Because to me that's one of those shows where I was like, is that underappreciated?
I thought the thing wasn't necessarily unappreciated. It's something you thought
No,
was
no, I
impactful.
thought you said underappreciated. I agree with you. Like I take nothing away from I Love Lucy, but go ahead.
No, I Love Lucy. I mean, you got Vitamin to Benjamin. You got Stomping on the Grapes. You got them going in the factories.
The
For me, yeah,
conveyor belt.
yeah. It I Love Lucy was so big for so many reasons. For one, I mean, the lead character, female actress, in black and white, and then was in color. I mean, that kind of stuff was unheard of at the time, and the fact that she had her own production company with her husband at the time. Um, the stuff, and this, I think it was interesting because a lot of times for television, females weren't the main character. They would be a side character to the man to support them in any kind of way. Um, but I mean, this was Lucy's show through and through. And credit to her husband for being like, he'll be the ditz and the dingo or whatever. Well, take that back.
Mhm.
He'll be the side character. I want to call him the ditz because Lucy could be a ditz for sure. But
He was a straight man to her.
yeah,
He was
a lot
definitely
of
the straight man. Yeah.
a lot of times you would have somebody else be like kind of wild and wacky or whatever, and then the female person, the female character would kind of be that supporting person. But I mean, they did so many different things. I mean, it was Desi Arnaz. Was he Cuban?
Yeah.
What's his heritage? I mean,
I,
yeah, to have a primary character actor
he
like
was
that to
he was
be Cuban.
definitely from the he's definitely one of our brothers and sisters from the Latin diaspora. But I'm
Yes.
looking up as a Cuban right now.
Or I feel like at least his character was. I don't know if he actually was, but the character Ricky Ricardo definitely was, because that was his whole thing with the nightclub. But
Hmm.
the idea of it
He's Cuban
tackling,
American. He is.
yeah, them tackling different topics in different ways. Because when I thought about him, I tried to find a good comedy that could kind of represent for so many things, and I thought about going with the Norman Lear show, like
Hmm.
Jeffersons or Good Times or All in the Family, any of those. But I wanted to go back even before that with this, just because I like the idea of, oh, you can have a primetime comedy and it be a hit. The, back when we worked at WOTX, every few years or so, they would
Hmm.
colorize an episode of Lucy because they were like, hey, we're finally going to show this episode in color. It
I
wasn't
remember
black
that
right
was
now;
a
it's a
big
color,
deal.
and CBS would make a big deal out of it because
Yep.
people love it. It's
Not just that CBS made a big deal out of it. People like our parents
yeah,
and our grandparents made a big deal out of it because this was one of the first times they could see those shows in color. I remember, again, Jr. I mentioned Jr. because that's like the straight white man, like our that we both can point to. He would talk about how I Love Lucy and the fact of seeing it in color and
hmm
this transition was a big deal. You know, going from
yeah,
black and white television to color and the red, like that Lucy was a redhead. That was a big deal. You know.
hmm yeah. Um, Yeah, and for me, going with the I Love Lucy, yeah, Kenny from Chicago, I agree. There it's definitely a different show. That's why I kind of went with the I Love Lucy over that. Like I Love Lucy had some serious topics, but they didn't necessarily focus on it
They were
to that.
subversive with it.
Yeah, they didn't hit it like Norman Lear. Like Norman Lear was like,
No,
no, we're gonna make you feel uncomfortable here.
Norman Lear was a punch you in the face. Where I Love Lucy was more subversive with it. They would
Yeah,
they would sprinkle in these topics
yeah,
as they got to the comedy. Whereas Norman Lear was like, "I'm gonna make you sit in this and be uncomfortable in this."
yeah. Um, and so I mean that's why I picked I Love Lucy, and I didn't with that over the Cosby Show because I wanted a
Here's my
comedy.
question.
Yeah,
Here's my question. Out of all the shows that you picked, are any of these shows were like, do you have a better appreciation now that you picked them? Did you love them when you were coming up, or these shows you were like you recognize, oh, that's a game changing show, and it made you appreciate them more as you researched them and thought about them?
probably two of them. Like the other ones, I was already fans. Like I Love Lucy. I used to watch I Love Lucy when I was getting ready for going to school, middle school time, because it would come on. Was it CBS?
Mm-hmm.
There was a string of shows. It was like I Love Lucy. It was Beverly Hillbillies, and like another old show that would run about the same time I was getting ready to go to school for middle school, and I would watch those and loved them.
Hmm.
This wasn't Nick at Night. This was like I don't know, sometime in the morning. I don't remember what channel it was, but they would come on. So yeah, I Love Lucy. I was a fan of that before I picked it for this. Same thing with Dragon Ball Z. I like Dragon Ball Z. I get that it's not great, but I liked it. Um, Real World was again not something that I watched, but I recognized what it was, and that one was I kind of did a little more research on it. But I would say my last two shows I probably appreciate them more after thinking about it because of this list.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, so you want to do? So what are we at? What? How many did we do so
I've
far?
done three.
So this would be three. So we've done three. Let's go. Do you have five? Did you pick
Yeah, you
five?
told me to pick five.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
So I'm looking at my list. It's funny that we both were going to pick the Cosby Show, and I So I say this. Um, so I have a list right here. We've been talking science fiction, but I talked about The Sopranos, Lost, all those shows, and I'm going to go a different, not a different route from what I. Yeah, I am. Battlestar Galactica. The the reimagining of Battlestar Galactica changed the game in the sense of
So not the original.
not the original.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the 20. When did that premiere? Um, hold on, let me pull it up. 2004. Um, it you I got to give the chat K Ken. I got to give everybody in there Geeky Andre. You almost picked all of my shows. The last one you're not going to see coming, even though it you will you almost when you said Babylon 5 when you guys started talking science fiction, you almost hit Battlestar Galactica, and I was going to be seriously mad because you guys already snuffed out the shield. Um, Battlestar Galactica was different in the sense of one, it came from sci-fi, and if everybody remembers, sci-fi has never been taken seriously outside of us. I don't remember if anything on sci-fi was ever nominated for Emmys, recognized for great television. Um, it always had sci-fi always had wrestling, crappy sci-fi shows. It had some good shows. Roswell, um, Torchwood. I want to say they did put on Torchwood. What's the one where they had the warehouse and Sally Richardson, um,
Eureka.
Eureka,
Well,
warehouse
two different shows because you said
Eureka and
Warehouse.
Warehouse 13.
Yeah, but they did
But Eureka,
crossovers. But yeah.
yeah. So Battlestar Galactica with Edward James Olmos. Um, in the sci-fi world, sci-fi was relegated to the nerds, the actually people like me. Battlestar Galactica changed the game in the sense of it was a show that started off with loss. We lost. Humans lost. Whereas every other show, when it comes to science fiction, when you think about it, started off with hope, started with the
Hmm.
possibility. When you think about Star Trek was the idea of we are an advanced society, and how does our ideals of an advanced society deal with some of these issues? Battlestar Galactica, I think it was Ken from Chicago said, was influenced by 9/11. He's right. When Battlestar Galactica was being rebooted, Bryan Singer was originally attached to it. It did not get off the ground. Bryan Singer then had to devote time to X2. They have tried to reboot that show on different occasions. Greg Larson tried to reboot it, it just didn't work. They went and Ronald, when they decided to redo the show, Ronald Moore, who cut his teeth on Star Trek, sat with the script, and I thought I did it. Ken's comment. Battlestar Galactica was influenced by 9/11. He's right. Battlestar Galactica was influenced by 9/11 because Ronald Moore said after 9/11, I thought about the show differently. What happens if the world's one of America's greatest attacks happened? He said the entire show of how he thought about the show and Cylons and AI changed after that. And what would we do if we lost? And if you remember that original miniseries, there was no fight. It was a genocide. It was a mass casualty event to where Battlestar, the last Battlestar, Galactica, was like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And that was the premise of the show. And everything after that built on that premise. It was a show that dealt with religious zealots. It dealt with polytheism, is it monotheism? Mono's the one with one god, and
Hmm.
polytheism is the one with multiple gods.
Hmm.
When you look at that show and the things and the themes that they dealt with, the Cylons believed in the one true God. The colonies dealt with multiple gods. That religious fervor was part of the show. The idea of how do you survive and what are you willing to do to survive. I don't know if people remember in the first season, some of the ships only had sub light engines, which meant they could not jump with the rest of the fleet. They left them. A Cylon raider found the fleet. They were trying to decide if they could have time to evacuate the people on the ships that had sublight engines, and how to get them onto the ships that had FDL, faster than light engines. And they did not have the time, and they made a decision to leave those people. And the Cylon base star with raiders showed up, and the rest of the fleet jumped, and they left thousands of people behind. We have I would posit we have never seen that type of decision making and loss in a television show.
Yeah.
Um, that show still resonates with people. Katie Sackhoff has a podcast where she talks with Tammin Paquette, and she says Edward James Olmos, when they were doing the first season, said, "This is a show that you will never top. This is a show that will stay with you. This is your career right here." And Katie Sackhoff said, "We were like, shut the fuck up. No, like," and they said 20 years later, they have never done anything in their life as good as Battlestar Galactica. It put sci fi on the map. The themes and the episodes they did that they dealt with paved the way for other shows to take that swing. They dealt with suicide bombers on
Hmm.
that show. We have never seen that before. Where we saw the good guys have the idea that in order to win, we need suicide bombers. I don't know if you realize the real world implications when you see ice covered up in their faces. That's what happened on New Caprica when the colonies found a planet, stayed on that planet, the Cylons found them, and they had real humans, police, work with the Cylons, and they had their face covered. Um, the quality of that show is unmatched considering the budget that they had. It also was a show that was pre-internet, so you didn't have Twitter coming at them with everything they got
Yeah.
because of the cast changes. Starbuck was originally a man. Starbuck was recast as a white woman, blonde woman, Katie Sackhoff. The person who played Starbuck had a long post basically saying men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and women have babies and they cannot do this job. Boomer was originally a black man, recast by Grace Park as an Asian woman. Colonel Ty was originally a black man, recast as a bald white guy. The decisions that they made with that show. Um, Kate talks about suicide bombers. They tried to stop an election. They tried to steal an election. They tackled abortion. The topics that that show tackled resonate today. Edward James almost got into it with President Roslyn when she tried to send the military to stop and have the military police. And Edward James almost said, "You do not use the military as police because those two entities have two different jobs. The police police the people. The military fights the enemies of the state. When you use the military to fight the enemies of the state and you use them to police, the enemies of the state end up being the people." That is a quote I have saved on my phone. The real world implications of Battlestar Galactica, you could go on and on. There could be documentaries about it. They have tried to reboot that show. That little 5 year window of that show, to me, is unmatched. It is. So the topics that they dealt with, do computers, do machines, does artificial intelligence have a soul? Sexual assault. Can you assault a cyborg? Can you rape a cyborg? These are questions that they asked in this show. And I would gander, I have not seen those questions touched by any other show to date.
Hmm. Yeah, that show is interesting to me because it is one of the first real sci-fi shows that I watched as it was coming on. I think I watched it as it came on. When did it come on? Do you remember? What years did you say it
20,
was?
2004 to 2009, I want to say. But let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah,
Yep,
I don't
2004 to
know
2009.
how, I don't know why I started watching it, but I did, and I was hooked. I watched all of it from beginning to end.
Yep.
But yeah, that show was really good and hit on a lot of
Uh,
good stuff. Um, it made Katie Sackhoff a star,
yeah.
who is in town now, I think, right,
Yep.
for
At
Soda
Soda
City
City
Comic
Comic
Con.
Con.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah. That. So I'm like, that show was. Kate has it right. It was lightning in a bottle. Um, when Pegasus arrived, I the Pegasus storyline was heartbreaking. Like, I like, this is another one of those shows, and this is the show that kind of sparked the conversation because as I'm at work and I'm doing something, I'm writing a script or something, I'll have it playing in the background. This is one of the shows that I always have playing. Edward J's Almost, one of the things he wrote in his contract was there will be no aliens on this show. This show will stay focused on the human experience and the struggle between us and the Cylons. And I think having that in his contract helped keep the show grounded because they weren't able to do, well, what if we do this? Because Edward James almost in his contract was, he said, if they bring aliens and they try to go crazy with the show, I will faint on the set and they will have to recast me because I will be killed off. It's like, that's insane. But
yeah,
it's so funny because that's, um, he was the elder statesman with a lot of these young actors and actresses, and not only that, you had to see different people like Trisha Helfer play multiple people, Grace Park playing multiple people. You got to see Lucy Lawless on the show, um, come back as I think she was the Deanna series, she was the Fives, but you got to see different. You got to see Grace Park is underrated as an actress to play Athena, Boomer, and Sharon. She played three different people. She played a woman who was a mother. She played a woman who kidnapped her genetically identical's child. Um, Tracy Helfer played a sex pot, a
Trisha Helfer.
resistance fighter. Trisha Helfer, a
Hmm.
sex pot, a resistant fighter, an engineer. She deserves all the accolades. The women on that show showed us an acting class I would say has not been matched in science fiction outside of Westworld. I would say Westworld is the only show that matches or comes close to what those women did on Battlestar Galactica. And it was a show, because I didn't like the ending, but it was a show done before Twitter. So they were able to pull off an ending that maybe everybody didn't like, but it wasn't universally hated like Lost or Game of Thrones.
Are we sure it was universally hated and we just don't know? I don't know many
That's
people that like the ending.
but that's my point. We don't know how. We know the ending was done. We don't know universally how that show was received. because we don't have the vitriol or the praise that we would gotten. Imagine the ending of Starbuck just disappearing. Spoiler alert! I apologize. The show's been out for a
Yeah,
while,
you've been spoiling all these shows.
but these shows, it's not like these. It's not like the show just came out. Imagine Starbuck being an angel and just disappearing in the age of Twitter and social media. On top of the fact that you gender swapped that role, and I don't know who it was who said it. They were booed at San Diego Comic Con after the gender swap. Um, so
Ooh, excuse
so
me.
yeah, Battlestar Galactica is my pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Kay brings up the religious the religious themes, the idea of autonomy with robots and artificial intelligence. It's one of the shows where I'm like, part of me like I've rewatched that first miniseries several times. Like I may rewatch it right now.
Okay.
So what's your four?
We're gonna go back to cartoons. We're gonna go to Ren and Stimpy.
Ooh, a show I hate. Continue.
Yeah. Um, what Ren and Stimpy did at the time was we talked about stuff being subversive. Ren and Stimpy was subversive for so many reasons. It was a cartoon, which back then cartoons were considered only kids should really watch cartoons. They're not adult related. They don't have adult themes, or people shouldn't worry about that. Um, Ren and Stimpy said, "Nah, we're gonna be weird. We're gonna be wild. We're gonna do whatever." It
Mhm.
was I want to say it was one of the three
Wild is
original Nicktoons. It was
wild
that. It
is an
was
understatement.
Rugrats and Doug, right? Do you know? Chat, help me out.
Yeah.
Like the three original Nickelodeon Nicktoons, I feel like it was Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. I could be wrong. Um, but of those three, one of these is not like the other, and that was Ren and Stimpy. It was weird. Yeah, wild is the biggest thing, and for me about it is it was so subversive, and it would have adult material, and it would just go on tangents, kind of the same way of a show that I
Like
talk
Usher
about a
does.
lot. Who?
Like Usher does.
Yeah, but they seem like they are doing it on purpose. I think we just do it just because that's just how we talk.
That is
Um,
true.
Ren and Stimpy. The thing I want to compare it to now is the thing I talk about all the time. I think you should leave on Netflix.
Mhm.
How I always say that show isn't for everybody. It's a weird type of comedy. Sometimes they'll go for a joke that is just weird and it just makes them laugh. I feel like Ren and Stimpy did the same thing. Um, and if you want to talk about being influential, you can think of shows like Two Stupid Dogs, shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog, shows like Rocko's Modern Life. I
Okay,
want to
just
say
talk about
Rocko's Modern Life came out after the first three. It might have been like the fourth one of the Nicktoons. I don't think it was the original, but yeah, Rocko's Modern Life I loved.
mhm.
But I don't know that that show would have got the green light if Ren and Stimpy hadn't come first. A big show, yeah, Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, weird sci-fi, whatever.
Interesting.
There's yeah, a big one, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Never. I agree with that. I don't see the Rick and Morty tangent. I do
Okay.
see the SpongeBob, but continue.
Yeah, but for me, I mean, it's just you had we talked about having the straight man to the wild and crazy person in the comedy duo. That's what Ren and Stimpy had. That I can't remember which one is which. Stimpy was the cat, so yeah, that was the straight person. Ren was the one who was wild and the Chihuahua that
The
was just
Chihuahua.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had like it had the gross out humor, which you can see a lot
Couldn't
in
take it. Yeah, I
yeah in
couldn't
a lot
take
of
that.
cartoons now. Um, it had those jokes that were above kids' heads. Powder Toast Man. It had Log. It had all that kind of stuff. Um,
I remember Log. I remember that because I've seen the clips of Log. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Rocco did work for a phone sex line. Oh baby, oh
Wait,
baby.
what?
Yeah, Rocco's Modern Life, man, that was a good show. And they did a
Wait,
reboot
time
on Netflix.
time out, time out. Fag on the play. Yellow card. Rocco, a cartoon for kids,
Yeah, Rocco the Wallaby.
worked worked as a phone sex operator on
I
the
mean,
show.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't called that, but I mean, you look back at it now, that's
No,
clearly
no,
what it was.
you say it wasn't called that, but that's what it.
Yeah,
Hold on, let me go to YouTube. Keep talking because I need to see this.
Oh yeah, Pinky and the Brain.
I,
Yeah,
I,
a lot of these comedy duos of like two cartoon characters, one being wild and one being crazy. That started with Ren and Stimpy a lot of times. Um, and
Solo
to
was
the
Ren
going
and
to the
Stimpy
extreme.
before Pinky and the Brain, or was that
Yes, yes.
really?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Because Pinky and the Brain was a spinoff from the Animaniacs,
Yes.
and Animaniacs was a few years.
Hmm.
I don't know how long after, but yeah, that was definitely after Ren and Stimpy. Um, but just that weird, subversive, funny humor. You got a lot of that from Ren and Stimpy. And it's interesting that I picked Ren and Stimpy and I didn't pick Cosby Show. I guess because you don't really see the creator so much in Ren and Stimpy as you would with the
There were
Cosby
less
Show.
rapes. Is that why
Well,
you
I'm just saying
picked?
because I mean the creator of Ren and Stimpy is problematic,
Yeah. Oh,
but
definitely. Yeah.
that show I was easier to go with compared to the Cosby Show just because it was uh, easier to separate the art from the artist because you're dealing with animation and not seeing his face all the time.
Hold on. Y'all aren't joking. There is a
No, why would we?
hotline.
Why would we make
No,
that?
just I'd never watched Rocco's Modern Life, and when I typed in
It's a good show,
Rock,
man.
Rocco's Modern Life, life phone operator showed up, and my
Hmm.
wife is shaking her head like yes, like this
Yeah,
is a thing.
yeah.
Rocco's Modern Life gay bashing. What the fuck is this show?
That might be the new reboot. I can't remember if that was in the original, but I mean they talked about a lot of
So
stuff.
as soon as we get off of this, I'm watching this because I have not. I
Yeah, do
didn't know
yourself a
this.
favor, man. Rocko's Modern Life, good stuff.
Okay.
But yes, I mean Ren and Stimpy. A lot of cartoons now that are weird and just and doing on weird things. You started with Ren and Stimpy.
Wow.
I don't know if I would go with Steven Universe because the Steven
Time out.
Universe goes
Sorry.
on something. You're looking at Kim from Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah,
How do I kick him out? How do I
I
kick him out?
mean I wasn't bringing up the comment, just letting it
I
stay
wa-
there.
I was because I don't know if everybody else said I wanted to make. I don't know, sir. I don't know how many is too far. I don't. Continue.
Um, but yeah, I think Ren and Stimpy stands the test of time. Not for it being the funniest or getting the best, but it just all the shows that spun off from it and the ideas that it started.
See,
So that's my four.
so that when you pick Rocco's, when you not Rocco, when you pick Ren and Stimpy, that's one of the things that I think from 24 and the Shield because 24 begat Homeland. One of the creators of Homeland was one of the producers on 24. So you would not have gotten Homeland and then subsequently the Americans and all these other shows that you got on FX and Showtime that talks about terrorism, how we dealt with terrorism, if you had not gotten 24. So I love the fact that you picked Ren and Stimpy because I would have never thought about that Ren and Stimpy was the godfather of a lot of these wacky shows that I do enjoy. I'm not a real big SpongeBob person, but I love Rick and Morty. I love Pinky and the Brain. I know the song. Rick and Morty, I still watch. Like Rick and Morty's my comfort. So, yeah, and I hate Ren and Stimpy. I do. I tried watching it. I hate Ren and Stimpy, and I hate. And it's interesting you pick Ren and Stimpy, not Beavis and Butthead, because I hate that show too. Even though I tried watching it, mm, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So my last show is a happy show, because
Define happy. Unless this is not the show you told me about. Unless it's a different one. Because you
oh, did
sent
I
me
not?
three. You haven't talked about one of the ones you sent me.
Let me see if it's the one that I sent. Oh,
Maybe you
really? Oh,
maybe
you
you are
Batman the Animated Adventures.
happy. I don't know if I would call it happy.
Son, you don't think Batman the Animated Adventures is a happy show?
No. I think it's a
Wow,
good show and fantastic. I would not call the setting happy.
interesting. Okay,
No, sir.
that says a lot about it. Yeah, that says a lot about us.
Yeah.
I love Batman the Animated Adventures. It is one of the shows that is. a superhero show that I could actually watch with my parents, who would actually watch and be like, "Huh, it's not terrible. It's not like the regular shit you watch." That was terrible. I remember it premiered in not late night television, but in primetime television. Batman and Innovative Ventures, um, shepherded by Bruce Timm, Dwayne McDuffie, voiced by Kevin Conroy. Uh, that show was a that show and that Batman is a lot of people's Batmans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it went from 92 to 95. Uh, the themes on that show was I'd never seen a cartoon do Robert Frost. Tiger,
Hmm.
Tiger, Burning Bright. Like when you think about the things that they touched on that show, how I don't know if you remember the episode where Bruce Wayne loses his memory and he's kidnapped with a bunch of different people and they're used as slave labor in the mines. Like it was a lot of people don't realize that the show itself, when they made the show, the animation that they used, they went with that because they didn't have a big budget. And there was a previous show, and I'm trying to remember what the show was, that they used those animation stills because it was cheap, and that's how they were able to that's why the show looks like that. Everybody knows the thing that like we I don't want to do it because I'm terrible musically, but everybody knows that theme song. Everybody knows that voice. Kevin Conroy is a lot of people's Batman. It's not Christian Bale. It's not like a lot of people are like Christopher Reeves is the archetype of Superman.
Hmm.
Kevin Conroy is people's Batman to the point where Kevin Conroy has played Batman. And once he did that voice, he was Batman through the cartoon, through the animated movies, to the video games. We got to interview Kevin Conroy at Soda City,
Hmm.
and we had him on our previous channel holding up a shirt, friend of the show. And it is one of my favorite pictures. It's one of my favorite interviews. I really wish we owned that channel so that we could keep that because that is a highlight of my career to interview Kevin Conroy. Kevin Shanko is right. Mark Hamill is the Joker. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't realize Tim Curry was the original Joker, but they were like that voice was just not right, and then they brought in Mark Hamill. Um, Batman: The Animated Adventures. The real world effect of that show is that Harley Quinn was created on that show. She had a first appearance in Batman: The Animated Adventures comic and then catapulted because she was so popular to being a real comic character and then being in Suicide Squad and then having her own movie. Margot Robbie. That came from this cartoon. That cartoon, and here's the through line a lot of people don't realize. Batman the Animated Adventures was the first in DC's animated line as far as shows. That show begot Superman, the Animated Adventures. Those shows then begot the Justice League with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Shira, Hawkgirl, and John Stewart, the Green Lantern. Those six people were handpicked by the producers based on identity and race. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is an equity, right? DEI. Hey,
Yes.
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Don't trust you. Um,
I was right though.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
But yeah. So when you think about the fact of they handpicked and they were like, we're not going to just put a regular white guy. So they didn't go with um, They went with John Stewart. They changed John Stewart's origin, so they actually changed it in the comics. They went with Shaira, Hawk Girl, a Thanagarian. They went with Martian Manhunter. They had Wonder Woman on there. That show then begot the JLU, Justice League Unlimited, which then you got to see Green Arrow, Black Canary. You got to see. You're right. Okay, I'm getting there. Static Shock, which would also led to Batman Beyond, which then led to in the JLU the greatest Batman episode ever in Epilogue. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. The Batman Animated Adventures show jump started DC doing their animated movie line, which then also jump started their DC animated series. Whether you think of Teen Titans Go, Titans, Young Justice, all of those sprung from Batman Animated Adventures. The DC animated movies line gave us Flashpoint, Batman manga, or Batman. What's the Batman anime movie? I have a steelbook version of it back there. Um, you got to the point where people are like, DC's animated movies are better than anything Marvel has produced animated.
Mhm.
The Batman animated adventures led to the Justice League and JLU to the point where people were like, just put Bruce Timm in charge of your movie division instead of Zack Snyder. Where there is a literal war on social media where people have accepted the Snyderverse and there's some people who have hate the Snyderverse. And they're like, that is not the Justice League we wanted. That is not the Man of Steel we wanted. That's not the Batman we wanted. We wanted the Kevin Conroy Batman. We wanted the George Conway. I want to say George Conway, but that's the guy because Tim Daly was the original Batman, Superman voice, and then it was George Conway who was on Friends. But let me make sure because he was the one guy who did not. No, not George Conway. What was his name? Hold on. Yeah, Tim Daly was the original. Hold on. It's the guy who was in. He was Friends. He was the brother. Uh, Hold on. I'm having a brain fart. If you're in the chat and you know who it is, drop it in there.
George Newbern.
George Newbern. Thank you. So, Carl Lumpley, Phil Lamar, Michael Rosenberg, Michael Rosenbaum, George Newbern, Maria Canais Baria, and Kevin Conroy, Susan Eisenberg. That's the core people who voiced the Justice League, and that is a lot of people's Justice League. And you would not have gotten this if you didn't have the Batman animated adventures. And spoiler alert, they made the Justice League with the Marvel way. Go IGN has a great little mini doc that's about 20 minutes about how they crafted the Justice League and how Bruce Timm used Marvel to make the Marvel way into making the Justice League cartoon, which then a lot of people realized and looked at the Justice League and how DC handled Batman Animated Adventures, Superman, and then the Justice League, and realized that's literally the model the MCU used to build their franchise. By introducing one character, another character, and then building the team. Ergo, Batman the Animated Adventures literally gave us the MCU.
Okay.
That's yeah. I said I'm going. I'm shooting. I'm swinging big. Batman Ninja. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Kim from Chicago. Yes, the CGI Green Lantern series two, Batman Brave and the Bold, which I didn't like at first, but now that I have kids, I understand the appeal of Batman Brave and the Bold. Um, all of if you think about Batman the Animated Adventures and what it has done for genre, for taking cartoons, because again, we've had animated movies, but taking a weekly animated show seriously. Batman Animated Adventures was one of the first to do it. That it was a show
Yeah.
that wasn't just for children.
I don't know. Did that come out first or did the X Men cartoon come out
X Men
first?
came out first
Okay.
because Batman Animated Adventures came out in '92, and I want to say later in Fox, because the Pride of the X Men was the original pilot for the X Men show, and that came out first, and then Batman came out, and then I want to say the X Men the X Men animated series. But let me check real quick. Yeah, '92, but I don't know exactly like in which month they dropped.
Sure.
But yeah, it's the Batman animated adventures. When you think about what Bruce Tim and that team was able to do with Dwayne McDuffie going forward. And to keep in mind, Dwayne McDuffie, one of the geniuses behind the Milestone comic series, black owned, that was published by DC, creator of Static Shock, all of these different hardware, Icon and Rocket, um, that all stems from this little cartoon that I would say changed the world because it introduced Batman to a whole generation of people who then were able to say, "Oh, I get why that character is popular. Um, I get why his rogues gallery, because you have the Joker, you have Penguin, you have Killer Croc, you have Catwoman, you have all these. It, I mean, it made Mr. Freeze a sympathetic character when you think about his origin story.
Hmm.
So yeah, my last one is Batman: The Animated Adventures because without Batman: The Animated Adventures, you don't get the MCU, and I stand on that.
Cool.
Yep, that's why I said it's happy.
Okay. Sure. All right.
Go ahead.
Um,
What's your last one?
my last one.
Hmm.
Thank you for being a friend, traveling down the
Golden Girls.
world and back. And that's yes, sir. Yes, sir. These four catty old white women run the world. That whole
Explain.
dynamic. I
I'm
mean
not. I'm
that
not
that
disagreeing.
whole dynamic of a four-person style show. You have four main characters, each one a certain profile,
Mhm.
can be copied and seen in so many shows now. I mean, Sex and the City. We got it right there. But no, beyond that, I think the thing that they did is they kind of took the ball that Lucy had and ran with it.
Mhm.
You had older women, which at the time
Was
was
unheard.
wild. Yeah, old people
Sir,
can't be funny. Old
that's
people can't.
still unheard of.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Old people can't do that. You know, they can't be a funny like show. They can't talk about sex and their sex lives. All that stuff is risque. They can't talk about the stuff they aging and retirement, all these things.
Shit,
Um,
Blanche talked about the Confederate flag and shot that shit down.
yeah,
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 I watched. I used to watch Golden Girls.
yeah. Um, I thought you meant Friends.
No,
No,
Friends is "I'll be there for you."
I just
Yeah,
know the
sorry.
clapping.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know this.
no, but I mean, you talked about a show in terms of sci-fi where like the women were just on point. I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of comedy, every single one of those women was a killer. Funny.
yeah, you're
They
right.
they could all, and I they didn't all have their own shows, but they could have had their own shows.
Yeah,
Betty White, who made the ditzy character. incredible. Every line she had, everything she had was a one liner. Like she's so
Do
dumb,
you,
but I mean, there is a talent in making your character
do you
dumb.
know how Betty White? So the character that Betty White played got on the show.
I
That
don't.
is still something that happens today. So, and the only reason I bring this up is because I work for South Carolina ETV. We're doing a documentary on elder care slash aging. Betty White's character, husband, handled all the bills. She didn't do any of that stuff. So you're right, she was a ditzy character. And basically, he fumbled the bag when it comes to money. And so she could not afford to live anywhere else.
Hmm.
She had to live with them. So another reason why my wife handles the money because I don't want in my old age. Actually, no, I'm not gonna make it that far. I'll die before that happens. Um, to end up in a home like that, yeah, I'll be gone before that happens. I'm old. But yeah, that's how she ended up there, and that's something we're dealing with now, where one spouse handles all of the money, and if excuse my language, if that's a fuck nigga, you as a couple could be screwed, and that's what happened in this situation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um, but I mean, again, I think it just stands out in terms of the whole a TV trope of a four character led sitcom with each person having a distinct role can be seen in so many shows. A ditzy character. I
Mhm.
mean,
Blanche
not
was a
not saying that not saying that Betty White was the first ditzy character, but she's the one that people know
hmm
and people have
but
responded to that from forever. A sex pot like Blanche, that's seen in other places. Estelle Getty just being old and be like, I'll just say whatever I want because I'm old. You're not gonna
hmm
stop me. I mean,
hmm
it's yeah. When
B
you think
B
of
Arthur, B Arthur,
yeah,
that's my hero.
when you think of the father on Frasier, just being an old dude,
Kelsey
crotchety
Grammer.
dude.
Oh, sorry,
No,
you
not
mean
Kelsey Grammer, the dad.
yeah,
John something. Is
yeah?
it
I don't
John
know his
something?
name.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just old character just being crotchety and whatever and being funny and lovable. Yeah, that's it. So many spin-off shows from Golden Girls. You had Golden Palace, which people didn't watch as much because it didn't have all four of them in there. I want to say Empty Nest might have spun off from that,
Yep,
and
you're right.
then
Yep,
and
I
and
used
then
to
there was
watch that.
another show that spun off from Empty Nest. I want to say I can't remember what it was, but
Was it Coach?
who?
Was it Coach?
I don't think it was Coach.
Hold on, keep going, cause
Yeah, but no. Yeah. Okay. Kate talks about Golden Girls talking about homosexuality and HIV/AIDS, not in a
son,
taboo or negative
yep,
way. Yeah, I mean, Golden Girls hit on a lot of topics. We talk about Norman Lear hitting you over the face with stuff. Golden Girls would kind of hit you in the face. I think they kind of bridged the gap of what Norman Lear was doing and what I Love Lucy was doing in terms of talking about funny stuff and also serious stuff. Multiple marriages, which at the time,
Blanche.
yeah, but the idea of people getting remarried. I mean, before you didn't
hmm
designing women. Yeah, was it Studebaker? Sugar Baker? Who was
Yes, the
it?
Studebakers. Yes,
Yeah,
you're right. Delta Burke, Delta Burke,
yeah.
Gene Smart. Uh, who else was on there? Designing Women was my show. It's probably how I ended up with a white woman. I was trying to get a reaction.
Is she even paying attention to you, or she don't even care?
She has her headphones in. She's probably not paying attention. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
But Ken's right. You could definitely see the through line between Golden Girls and Sex in the City. I think Golden Girls is a better show. Um,
You'll get no
she's
argument from me.
yeah, like I love Designing Women.
Yeah.
That was my show. Uh,
So yeah, that was those are my five.
and they were Southern too, so that helped.
Yeah.
Uh, it's interesting that you picked Designing Women. I'm not Designing Women, Golden Girls, because I would have never thought about it like that as far as like genre groundbreaking shows. But it's one of the shows I do know that we've talked about when we said, what's a show that should be rebooted and how should we reboot it? That's a show that I picked. That I said that's the show that I would reboot. That's the show that I said right now we are dying for that show again. And that because I remember us having what's a show that we would reboot, and I picked Golden Girls, and I remember I had a cast. I said, um, shit, old girl from I basically said just pick the women from uh uh Angela Bassett burns the shit, burns old boy's car, Michael Beach's shit.
Wait and exhale.
Yes. I was like, just pick them and just do Golden Girls.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. That is a groundbreaking show. Um, Ken's right there on it. Gene Smart could star in a reboot of Golden Girls, and it definitely would be great. It would definitely sell.
Angela
Um,
Bassett is too busy starring in 911 right now to.
I really wish she wasn't in that show. I hate that that show exists, and I
I
hate that
understand the show was fantastic.
they're about to do Nashville. So
Yeah, they are.
somehow those feeds, those reels ended up in my feed of
Mm,
911, and I don't know it's 911 until like after I've clicked on it, and then I
nice.
have to like back out of it and like don't show me this shit anymore, but I still get them. I get tricked into watching them.
Yeah, Bob Newhart had good shows. He did.
Yeah, but yeah. Um that's interesting. Yeah, so but you don't think Batman Animated Adventures is a happy show? Ken
No,
doesn't think it is either.
no, it's a
He
great
says,
show. Happy, I would not call it happy.
wow. I don't know. I think it's happy.
Okay,
Seeing people get punched in the face always makes me happy.
okay.
It just does. Yeah. So this was. Oh shit, we've been going for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
you talk about each of your shows for like 20 minutes.
hey man, I love my shows. That's
You
interesting
do.
that you pick shows that you didn't. That like I picked shows that I loved. That I was like, oh, I could see the through line how this show changed television, and subsequently the world or influenced the world. It's interesting you pick shows that you were like, they're okay.
No, no, no. What I said was I like those are shows that I like, but I would necessarily show they're not like my favorite shows.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you pick shows that weren't your favorite. Like I own all of these shows that we talked about, or at one time I have owned all of these shows. Like I remember going to like thrift stores and seeing like Battlestar Galactica series on DVD and buying it. Like I know I have boxes with those like the actual excuse me Battlestar or the Shield, and then upgrading to Blu-ray and then eventually 4K.
Hmm.
These shows. Mm. So yeah, what got you through the week?
Hmm. Um. I think the I don't know if I had finished it. I had talked about it in our taped ones, but since the last time we had a live one, I did finally finish Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That game was
Yeah, you told us
fantastic.
that last week.
You did not just hear what I just said.
Yeah, you said it in the tape ones. So yeah, so
Now
like
I can't tell if you're trolling me or not. That's what I just said.
yeah, sorry. So
Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, I did that. Now I'm playing. I hate you so much. Um, what's the game? Now I can't think of it because you made me mad.
that's what I do.
Hollow Knight. I'm playing Hollow Knight.
Oh,
Never
is
played
it
it
as hard?
before.
Is it as hard as people say it is?
I'm like 2 hours in. I don't know.
Oh, I've heard that game is hard.
I mean, it probably is. It's
Wait, but you
I've
like
I've
Cuphead, and I heard that game is hard too.
I like Cuphead. I haven't beat Cuphead.
Mm,
I mean, it's not like Elden Ring hard. I don't think. And to be fair, I mean, it just depends on what your motor skills are.
I ain't playing
But I'm
that either.
liking this Metroidvania for. I wanted to play it since Silk Song is coming out in a few weeks, and it's going to be on Game Pass. So I was like, oh, let me play this first. I'm enjoying it so far. Loving that.
Okay.
I started watching Black Sails on Netflix.
Yeah, you did say
Still
that.
watching that. Um, Anything else I'm watching? Oh, I'm trying to figure out this ESPN app to make sure I have WWE since it's going there now and not on Peacock. So I'm trying to make sure this app works for me, and my TV subscription is one of the ones that will accept it. So
Hmm.
that's a fun little process.
I mean, I'm surprised that the WhiteHouse.gov has isn't broadcasting WWE.
Honestly, yeah, that's a yeah. Why not? Why not? Um, Twisted Metal. I'm excited to watch Twisted Metal, but I think I'm just going to wait till it all comes out so I can just kind of binge it.
Oh, you're not. I
I haven't
hate
seen
you.
any of season 2 of Twisted Metal.
I hate you. I really do. Because
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, and there's a couple episodes I really wish you had seen so we could talk about it because the tone of the show is good, but I'll wait because god damn it, like you suck.
I mean,
Mm,
I never said I was going to watch it day to day,
okay,
but
no. I'm just saying, like you have gotten to the point where you don't watch stuff like that. You wait till it's all done and then you watch it. I've noticed it's a trend now. Like that's who you are. Unless it's wrestling or where you have to, you will watch it after it's already out.
yeah,
I've noticed that. So, okay, you're right. Alienation, awesome show. Another show, if I had to reboot, that's one of the ones I would reboot. Mm, so yeah, uh, I think everybody has said so. Alien Earth, magnificent. Check it out. First episode of Peacemaker is really good. A little upset they only dropped one episode, and it feeds into that addiction of I need two because Alien Earth dropped two episodes, or did they did two episodes? A lot of people are doing two episode premieres. So Twisted Metal is very good. I'm really feeling it. Anthony Mackie, I see now he's really cemented himself as John Doe, and I do like him. And a lot of other people are really good in that show. Old girl from Brooklyn Nine Nine, Stephanie Beatrix
hmm
as Quiet is excellent. The young girl who plays May is really good. Um, and I've been playing. I downloaded. I was playing Dredge, and I beat that, and not what I thought it was, but still good. Um, Ken, I'm not ready for the boys to come back because I'm a little scared as what they do because they have been dead on with their show and how what we do in the real world, and I'm scared whatever they do will happen. So I'm a little fearful of the boys next season. Um, I'm playing Dead Island 2, and I, I can see where I picked a black guy. I can see where they're going for British black guy, Idris Elba. I can see where that black guy they're going for Idris Elba. Um, really, Kay? I can see it though because they're going for Idris Elba, definitely. Oh no, you're talking about the guy who plays Axel. Okay, sorry. Yeah, Twisted Metal. Yeah. Kay, what did you think about his fake hair? Um, I want to know from a woman's standpoint. What did you feel about the fake hair? Um, so yeah, I've been playing Dead Island 2. I like it. Uh, yeah, it's attached to the wheels. Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing. We didn't. So those of you who know us, we didn't do Soda City Comic Con. It's this weekend. Katie Sackhoff was there with Napoleon Dynamite. I can't remember what his name is.
John Header, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So don't look for. Yeah. I did want to go to see Katie Sackhoff. I do want to see her. I do want to meet her, but I just yeah, we didn't do it this week. Or this time. This is the first time we haven't been since their inception, or at least I haven't been. I think
Yeah,
I've been every Soda City.
yeah.
Yeah, I think. No, I take that back. There's a couple that I didn't go to because Beyonce performed that weekend. So when Michael Coulter came, I didn't go to that one. You got to because you got to interview him. I hate you. I really do. Because I set that interview up and I didn't get to interview him. You and Lauren got to go, and I didn't.
Yeah,
Mm,
man, it's 2025. You might want to move on, bro.
I will never move on. I will never
Okay.
move on. I will never move on from that, and I will never move on from not getting to interview John Lewis because that's another interview I set up
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. And the powers that be, and Lauren got to do that. So Lauren is in my debt. Friend of the show. So that wraps it up. It's 11:30. So guys, there's a lot of shitty news going on out there. So that's why we picked it. I picked this topic. So like, let's be fun. Let's reminisce about TV shows, and I'll try to pick something else that's fun. Um, uh, I'll try to think of something else. But other than that, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Leroy, Ministry of Mischief. That's Michael. Uh, the I don't know, just chill Negro,
Yeah. I'll go with
Ch-
that.
Chinegro, and the
I
chill.
don't think I like that one, but yeah. All right,
I'll come.
folks. We might be back live next week. I don't know. We'll see.
What's next week?
The
Oh, I definitely
30th.
won't. We won't be there.
Oh, okay,
There's a
cool.
Bluey night. So if you can see this. Oh, Fireflies. There's a double A baseball team here in Columbia that's having a Bluey night, and my youngest son loves Bluey. We bought the VIP package, so we'll be going to that. So we'll be taping. So next week will be a taped episode.
There we go. Okay, folks. Until we're back live, we'll see y'all next time. Peace.